All right, so like I said, welcome everyone to our June 2021 Expressions in Color Paper Pumpkin Workshop. Okay, this is a beautiful kit. I'm really excited about this one because it coordinates with Stampin' Up's Expressions in Ink suite. This is the suite that's found on pages 96 and 97 in your new annual catalog here. Beautiful suite, and this month's Paper Pumpkin really complements that well. All right, so we're gonna go ahead. This is the fun part, is going ahead and opening it. I did go ahead and take a sneak peek at the box, but this is primarily what you'll see when you open your Paper Pumpkin kit. All right, and this is a little flyer showing the Expressions in Ink suite, as well as the item number for the designer series paper. Now, a little heads up, this has been so popular that the Expressions in Ink paper has been on back order for the entire month of June. It is expected to be back in stock on June 28th. So that's next week. So that's Monday. So hopefully that hopefully that comes in and we'll be able to go ahead and get our hands on this beautiful paper. All right, so we'll just set that aside for now. Okay, so this is the little flyer that has our 3 designs. So this kit makes 9 cards, 3 each of 3 designs. So what I like to do with my Paper Pumpkin workshops is we'll make one of each as designed. We will make some fun alternate projects. Stampin' Up does give us some suggestions here on the back. So I'm going to tweak that a little bit. And then I'll have a couple of additional designs there for you too. Okay. So what I like to do here, this is the fun. I love getting a Paper Pumpkin because it really is a little creative escape in a box every month. So it's always beautifully wrapped in tissue paper. This month we had white tissue paper because it was the special, kind of the alcohol ink marbled design here. Hi, Luann, welcome.
Hi, Jess.
So glad you could join me this month.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me.
Yes, I'm glad you made it. Okay, so let me, oops. So you are being recorded, just so you, okay. So
I saw.
Just a heads up. All right, so we are diving into our Paper Pumpkin kit here. We're just wrapping it up, or unwrapping it. Like I said, love the stamp set, and you can see how well this coordinates with the full-size artistically inked stamp set from the annual catalog here. So we've got a different kind of inky background. We've got some more crisp flower images, and then you've got great sentiments here. I love that. Sending hugs, congratulations, you are amazing. We've got thanks for everything. And then there are a few more sentiments here in the artistically inked. Okay. And then we always, this month is special because we have our 2 ink spots. So we actually have 2 ink colors, Bumblebee, which is an ink spot that was new last year. And then Evening Evergreen, this just came out in May. Yeah, so really pretty colors. And then I did go ahead, I did split the split the wrapper on here. So as you open your kit, go ahead and it will be all nicely shrink wrapped. So you can take that apart here. We've got a little goodie bag that has our dimensionals, our glue dots. We have some Evening Evergreen twine here. And then these are really pretty. They're iridescent sequins. Yeah. So just be careful as you're going through because these items might be kind of mixed throughout your kit. I like to keep them all here in the little baggie that's provided. So I'm going to put all of these goodies up to the front of my workspace. We'll take our envelopes. This month, they are just plain. They're not, sometimes they are printed inside, but this month they're just plain white. So we could do some stamping on the outside of those. But for right now, we're just going to set those aside. All right, so first thing on top, we have these really pretty sage, is it sage shadow? That's what I want to call it.
Evening Evergreen.
Yes. Oh, soft succulent, which is very close to the old color sage shadow.
Really?
It shows I'm going on my 15th year as a demo. So Sometimes all these colors do get a little mixed in my brain. All right, so we're gonna set those aside because if you go through, there are some evening evergreen card bases in here. And so if you want to stack these together, that will be one set. All right, then as I'm looking through, we've got these really pretty kind of leafy vellum designs. And it looks like that mimics the die from the artistically inked bundle. So there's this really neat die in here.
Oh, yeah.
And that matches the pattern that's on the vellum, which is pretty cool. Okay, so these vellum sheets are going to go with your Bumblebee card bases. So again, if you sort through here a little bit, I kind of like to get it all organized. All right, so we're gonna set those, make little piles around your, that's my process, making little piles. Okay, then we have, these are the really, my favorite. These are the Fresh Freesia cards, but they also have some polished pink in here and this dark color I thought paired really well. I think that's Blackberry Bliss that coordinates with that. So I did pull in some cardstock of Blackberry Bliss. Okay, so these we're gonna set aside too. All right, next comes all the goodies here. So we've got little label die cuts for our greetings. And then these are the fun die cut Evening Evergreen, our polished pink, and our Fresh Freesia die cuts. Those are gonna go with the Bumblebee card bases and the vellum. So go ahead and stick those together. All right, you've got more labels in here. These can all go together. And then these, I'm so excited for these. This is like one of the highlights of the kit. These vellum pieces, which have this gorgeous large flower. And then we do have our greetings in 3 languages. So if you're feeling multilingual or if you know or speak French or German, then, then you can use those too. So
9.
Yeah. No. So in the die set, there is this really intricate die, and that is what this vellum piece is. And I was curious, as I didn't fully open everything, to see how the size compared. And so I just want to line these up, and it looks, wow, it's a perfect match. So the vellum pieces in the kit are the exact same size as the die. So that's just something to be aware of, because if you want to stretch your kit, or if you like the theme of this kit and you really want to get creative, then the artistically inked bundle with the stamps and the dies are gorgeous. Okay, so I've taken everything out. I'll just kind of tuck this all in and set the box aside. All right, so let's go in order here. We'll get started with, so let's just pull out one because we're going to do one of each as designed. So we'll do our Evening Evergreen base, our little marbled, or I don't know, would you say marble or granite? Or it is really this neat effect that you get when you use alcohol inks and you drop them and the colors just kind of spread at random. And so that's what these are. They're like photographs of art that was done that way. Okay, so for this, we also need a vellum thanks. So be careful when you pull these out a little bit. I mean, vellum is pretty sturdy, but you don't want to tear these by accident. So we'll use one of those. And then we need one of the skinny little labels here. Okay, so that's all the pieces to start with. And then they have, if you've been a Paper Pumpkin subscriber before, you'll notice sometimes their instructions were not the greatest. So they have definitely made an improvement here with the past couple of kits with giving you actual picture step-by-step designs. So since we're starting with the Evergreen kit here first, they are telling us we are going to use our Evening Evergreen color to start with. And if you are new to the ink spots, there is a little perforated line right along the front. And if you can squeeze your fingernail in there or use your paper snips, go ahead and slit that, and it does pop open on you. Because I do have the full-size colors, I'm going to save my ink spots for
Me too.
a later day. Yeah, I like to use them for when I travel or things like that. So I'm going to just leave those for right now and use my full-size evening evergreen pad. All right, so with the stamp set here, you do get one block with your paper pumpkin when you originally subscribed, but you've been around a little while, you might want a couple extra blocks. So we're going to use this little flower image that fits perfectly on our A block.
I'll be right back. I forgot blocks.
Oh, and then we'll use this beautiful detailed floral image. And let's see, that looks like it will fit perfectly on the C or D, or the block that came in your paper pumpkin kit. Okay, so that is what we need for this. And then we'll need a for everything. If you want to do thanks for everything, then we'll put the little for everything on our G block. That's the skinny little one. And actually that's going to be stamped the contrasting color. We're going to use the Bumblebee ink spot, or your Bumblebee ink pad for that one. So I do like how they're mixing and matching the colors here. Okay. Yeah, let me just make sure I can check the comments on both places here. All right, I'm dropping my blends off my table. Okay, so to get started here, we are going to take our fun marbled design here, and we are going to stamp it all up with flowers. So we're going to use our evening evergreen, and of course you can do this any way you want, but the way Stampin' Up kind of has it stamped at random. So I've got 3 of the large flower images stamped here, so one towards the lower left. You could rotate it and then stamp one towards the center, and then rotate it again and stamp one towards the lower right. Okay, so that's what we need for the large flower. Then we're going to take our little flower here, kind of do the same thing, one towards the lower left. And we're going to work our way up and over, and then back to the middle, and then up to the right. So we've got 5 little flowers on there as well. I really love that. It's like a little violet image, very pretty. Okay, so that's our stamping, and once we've got that done, we can go ahead and actually mount that on our card base here. These are pre-scored, but I do recommend that if you have a bone folder, that does give you a nice smooth crease here. All right, so go ahead and smooth that out. And then if you want to use your glue dot, that's what these little dots are showing. It's saying, okay, use 4 dots. I like my adhesive. I don't think 4 little dots is enough, honestly. So I would suggest doubling that amount, or I'm going to go ahead and use my Stampin' Seal. I highly suggest investing in one of those too. Or if you prefer, you know, your liquid glue, your green Tombow, that is fine too, because this is just going to go on flat. So you can see I use way more adhesive. How about you, Luann? Are you big on adhesive?
I'm a Tombow girl.
You're a Tombow girl? Okay.
I need that wiggle room.
Yeah, that does give you, you know, with the seal, it does give you just a smidge, as long as you don't like totally burnish it and flatten it out right away. But somehow when I use liquid glue, I end up with glue all over my fingers and then all over everything else. So I feel like I have more control with my seal. Okay, so then the next thing is taking our things, and with this, because it's vellum and it is a little bit hard to see, you want to make sure that you actually put your glue dots on the proper side. All right, so for this project, I am going to use the little glue dots provided. We don't want to use a ton of adhesive because we don't want it showing through. So
Are the glue dots provided in the kit?
Yes,
smaller or
they might.
thinner?
So what they're the exact same size as the mini glue dots in the
Mhm.
Stampin' Up! Catalog. But these are just, again, perfect for travel and little things because they've got the
Okay.
little backing on them. So when you do these, again, I'm going to use more. I like my adhesive, and you've always got plenty of leftovers. So they have you doing 3. And if you do put it kind of at the white part, like where the lettering is a little bit thicker,
Mhm.
then that might work out. It's not going to be showing through the front quite as much. So go ahead and put it on like the rounder part of the S there. I do think like, I don't want it coming off, so I'm going to put it up here on the K. And then we'll put some more here at the cross there where the H loops up. I'm even going to put some on my T. I want to make sure when I send these that they're not going to fall apart. Okay, so, all right, so then this is the hard part, is peeling the little paper off of those. So again, I gotta use my, you can use your take your pick tool. I use my little paper snips and just peel those little, you'll end up with them all over your floor. That's okay. If you've got fingernails and that works for you too, then you can kind of peel those off. That is one of the funny hazards of stamping. You'll find little dimensional backings like on your bathroom floor because they stuck to your socks. So,
I've heard about that.
yeah, sometimes I wonder, I'm like, how did that get there? Or I'll find glitter stuck to my forehead and I'll be like, how many days has that been there? All right, so we are going to stick this. The way they have designed it is it is towards the right. If you are very much type A and you like things centered and squared, go ahead and put it in the center. That is okay. The way they have it designed is over towards the right. I actually think I might center mine and then offset my little label that says for everything. So I am going to go ahead and just kind of smooth these on here. Make sure those glue dots actually kind of transfer. Okay. Because I don't want that peeling off. All right, then we've got our little label. With this, we've got our for everything.
I usually flip my card over and then use the bone folder on the back.
Oh, that's a good idea. Yep, so Luanna's saying open your card and then go ahead and run this along the inside. That's a good idea too. And that way, if you have ink on your fingers, it's not going to show on the outside of your card. Thank you. All right, so then we'll stamp our for everything here.
Now, I don't have my cheat sheet. Is that also in green?
This is in the Bumblebee.
Bumblebee, thank you.
Yeah, that way it kind of does it stands out just a little bit more. Okay. And the nice thing with these particular labels, they're double-sided. So if you wobble and you mess it up a little bit on the front side, then you can at least flip it over and have a second try. And then we will use the little dimensionals on this. So go ahead and flip that over. You know, it's funny, this time they gave us full-size dimensionals here, but this is a tiny little tag. So we're going to need to actually take one of these little honeycomb hexagons and just cut it in half. And that way you can use half on here.
I need 3 sides to my cardstock.
And then half over here. All right, I don't know if the camera's showing that. Yeah, so I cut mine in half and that made them fit perfectly. Okay. So then when you do that, you can go ahead and again, if you want it centered, you can do that. If you want it a little bit to the right, I think I'm going to move my sentiment to the right since I centered my thanks. And then we get to use these gorgeous little iridescent sequins. Now, I don't know if the camera will pick that up. You see that? They do pick up the color. They kind of reflect whatever color is around them. Very pretty. And with these, we're going to use 5. So again, I like to use my snips. These already have the little glue dots on them. And we'll do kind of one down here, below the for everything, 2 up towards the left of the T. And then we'll do 2 up to the top right of the K. And then there you have it. Isn't that pretty?
Mm-hmm.
I really like these. All right, now we getting it so that the light is showing the sequins just a little bit. A little bit more. I'm trying not to make people dizzy, keep moving it in the camera, but
It's hard to know if the camera catches it or not.
yes. But yes, that is really pretty. All right, so I like card number 1. Okay. All right, so card number 2, and that's okay, Luann, if you're still working. I'm just gonna.
Problem is, I don't have the cheat sheet because I can't follow those things.
Yeah, okay. So maybe that's good. I do the video and then I show how to actually read the directions. I know there are people out there that totally throw the directions. Like I said, I read the directions and then I change it up to suit my needs. So, all right. So card number 2 is the Bumblebee card base with the gorgeous vellum. All right. So I've got one of the Bumblebee cards here. We have a vellum piece. We are going to need one of the larger rectangle labels. And this one has an evening evergreen border on it. Okay, then we're going to use one of the die cut sheets with all these fun leaves and leaves and berries. Again, they are die cut, they're pretty good, but because they're so intricate, just be careful. Gently remove them, don't yank them. Okay. And then, okay, yes, there is a center one that's very, very tiny in there. All right, so we've got one. And gently.
So we have the Bumblebee cardstock,
Yep.
the vellum, and
the larger rectangle label for your grading, and then one sheet of the floral die cuts.
the whole
here.
sheet. Okay, thank you.
Okay, so that's the second piece, and then this third piece kind of looks like grapes, but I think they're little floral berries. They can be grapes if you want them to be grapes. That's a great thing with art, with Stampin' Up. It's all open to interpretation. It can be whatever you want it to be. Okay. I do like that. Stampin' Up provides the framework, and then we all make it our own, put our own little twist on it. Okay, so we have those pieces as designed. I'm just gonna tidy my little area here so I know where all of my pieces are. Okay, so if you are opening and looking at your directions, this Bumblebee card here is at the bottom. All right, and this one is also going to use some of the twine. So what's interesting is Stampin' Up! Has moved the measurements a little bit. So usually they're along the short side of the page. This time they have moved the measurements along the long side, and they've also provided inches as well as centimeters on this kit. That is, I don't think they've provided metric measurements before, so that's kind of handy. Okay, so on this one, again, they have us using 4 little glue dots on our vellum piece. I don't trust that that's gonna.
What that is. I couldn't for the life of me figure out what that was.
Yes, that's what those little dots are on the instructions now. So I'm gonna go ahead and fold my Bumblebee card base here. This one is going to be portrait vertical here. All right. With your vellum, it really doesn't seem to matter. There, one side is a little bit brighter, crisper than the other side, so you'd want to put your adhesive on that flat side, but if you can't tell the difference, then nobody else will be able to either, so don't stress about that. All right, I'm not going to use the glue dots on this one. I'm actually going to put a few strips of my seal right in the center. I'm not going to go around the edges because then you will see a little bit of an adhesive frame. But if you go right through the center, I just did, I'm not sure if the camera, yeah, you can kind of see the light reflecting. I have 4 strips of adhesive in the middle, and they will be covered by the our flower branches, so you won't be able to see that when you put it on your card base here. Okay. And again, if you want to use Luann's trick, go ahead, open it and burnish it just to make sure that adhesive transfers and everything sticks together. I like that tip. All right, so yeah, so now on here you can see the 4 stripes. But like I said, we are going to use our all of our little flower flourishes to cover everything. All right, so the way we are doing this, we have piece number 1, and really they all overlap, so it doesn't seem to matter which one you do top and bottom. So I'm going to use the leaves first, and those are going to go right in the center. So on the back side, go ahead and use your glue dots for this one. All right, so we'll put glue dots right in the center at that thickest part where all of the little branches connect. Can you guys see that? On the camera? There is a little dot there. Okay. If you want to put extra dots on some of these leaves, you're welcome to do that. I might actually, I'm gonna stretch this out a little bit and put some extra, make sure you've got all the little pieces removed. So I am actually putting, and notice here, this one didn't, it's got a little piece that didn't disconnect. Okay, so clean that up. So not only am I putting one in the center, I'm also putting one out here on each of these little branches.
I think I'll leave dangerously and only use one.
Are you? Okay, Luann's gonna brave it and just go with one. Maybe because I always show my cards and my videos and everything. So, and then I do, I have some friends that aren't necessarily stampers, but do enjoy the handmade cards. So I do sell my cards and send them and things, and I want to make sure that they're going to hold together through all that handling. Okay, so we have our leaf kind of doing, it's almost like a crooked H missing its other leg here. They're kind of a karate chop here in the middle. All right. All right, so that's piece number 1. Piece number 2 is the polished pink piece. And again, we're going to put our adhesive here in the center. And if you want to extend it, make sure all of your little die cut connectors are free. All right, again, I am going to put a couple extra. on the outer edges of these leaves. I'm only doing 2 extra on this one. Okay. All right, and then this one, we are going to put, kind of goes across the middle like this. You can almost line up these 2 leaves.
Oh,
all right, so I'm noticing you do want to make sure that you might have to move that because we want to make sure our leaves are not extending beyond the edges of the card. So I am going to pick that up just a little bit and rotate it to make sure that my leaves stay in the bounds. Okay. And then the third piece is little grape leaves here. All right, so go ahead and put your glue dot in the very center. And then again, if you want to extend out, maybe put one on each of the ends of the little clusters here. Make sure you get all your pieces disconnected. Okay. Peel off the little glue dot backings. So I would say this kit is a little bit stepped up, I think, than some of our past paper pumpkins. This one, I feel like you definitely have a little bit of technique going on here. Okay, and then that goes in the center as well. So you've really decorated your whole card front. Again, make sure your die cuts stay within the edges of your card. Hi, Sue. Glad you guys could tune in. All right, yes, so we got viewers on both the Zoom and the Facebook here, so welcome. Okay, so now we need the ribbon. So we have done step 1, adding our vellum. Step 2, layering our 3 different colors of leaves and flowers here. All right, step 2, we need 12 inches of the evening evergreen twine. So if you want to open up your instruction sheet here, if you've got grid paper, like I've got a cutting mat, you can use that. But if you have limited supplies, then go ahead, open up your kit here, and you are going to want to measure. So there's 0. All right, so we want 0 to the edge is 9 inches, and we want to measure another 3. We need 12 inches for this. Okay. And then go ahead and use your snips to cut that off. Okay. All right, and so what they have us doing with this is kind of making a little loop image. So if you take one end, let me see if I can get it so you can see it better. Take one end and then loop it, and then kind of hold the center and then loop it again. So it kind of looks like a bow, but it's not. It's just crisscrossed there in the middle. You see what I mean? So you've got loop, and then hold it, and then come around with a second loop here and put that piece. All right, so your twine might have a little bit of a mind of its own because it's been wrapped around that spool, but if you kind of grasp it in the center, then you can place a glue dot or 2 right on top of your, I'm gonna actually put a couple here. Let's go with 3, that's a good number. I'm gonna put 3 glue dots there in the center of my flower cluster, and that's what's going to hold our twine. All right, so then make sure your loops They're in their proper form there. And that's the thing with loops, you can always readjust them after you get everything done. And then our sentiment is going to go across the center. So you might want to adjust your loops just a little bit more. And that way this will go in the middle and that'll hold your loops in place too. Okay, so we are going to stamp our greeting here. Honestly, most of them, the thanks would fit, sending hugs would fit, the congratulations would fit. Any of these would work. So I don't know, it uses the congratulations, but I almost think I'm going to use sending hugs just because I know so many people that could use a good thinking of you, could use a hug. Even if it is a virtual or a hug with a fold in the middle here. I'm moving my blocks because I've got my stamp cleaner underneath and I'm going to clean the congratulations off my block so that I can put move these around here. Okay, so I'm going to put sending hugs on here and we're going to stamp this in the Bumble Bee. And that's our card base. Clean my other blocks too while I'm at it. Now I am using my Stampin' Scrub, but you can use your Shammy as well, whatever works for you. Okay. Slide everything. All right, so I've got sending hugs. Ink that up. I'm gonna put that right in the center. All right, it's pretty straight, not too bad. Did pretty good there. All right, and then we'll put our dimensionals on the back of this. And this one's bigger, so we could go ahead and actually use 2 full size on here. And then this goes, like I said, right across the center, so you adjust your loops as needed. And then your sending hugs goes here in the middle. Kind of hides all the mess where everything was stacked and put together. All right, it's kind of fun. And then pull out our fancy iridescent sequins again and go ahead and put these on. So we are going to use, we're going to use 5 on this one as well. So we're going to start in the upper right, towards the right of our leaves. We'll put 2 up here. And then we're going to move down the card to the lower right, and we'll put 1 down here. And then we will move over towards the lower left and go ahead and put a couple, oops, put a couple over here. And there we have it. I'm moving this slowly so we can see the sequins that are on the front. There we go. Yeah, that is really pretty too. I like that one's got a little bit more color. I do like that. All right, so we got cards 1 and 2 there. Okay. For card number 3, this is the fresh Freesia with this fun polished stone in Freesia, Blackberry Bliss, and our polished pink here. All right, so I'm actually going to just fold that now since I'm taking up my workspace here. And then this on your instruction sheet, this is here at the top. Okay, so for this piece, we are going to start with 26 inches of the twine. What they have us doing is actually wrapping the twine around the front and then knotting it. Honestly, I hate it when they do that because I don't like seeing loose twine on the inside of my finished card. So what I'm going to do is hang on to the twine. I'm actually going to just tie a bow when we're done and put that on here. So if you want to tie a loopy bow, you can gather the end of your ribbon, make yourself a loop, go around the loop and pull through the middle. Okay, tighten your knot and then adjust your ends here. So that is one way to do a basic knot. If you have, let me grab my, if you've got toaster tongs, you can do that. If you've got one of these little handy bow makers, then what you would do with this is go around, cross over, hook your end through the middle.
I went to get mine.
You get yours, Leanne? All right, and then
This will be the
tie
first time I use it.
Oh, nice. And then tie a knot right here in the middle. Yeah, bow maker is neat because depending on how wide you spread the pegs, you'll make bigger bows, which for things like twine, a smaller, closer together is usually best. But the thicker your ribbon, the wider you want to go. All right, so we'll trim that off. I'm going to leave my bow just kind of waiting until we're ready for it.
Oh,
All right, so I think this gives our card a more finished look, so you don't have those loose ends on the inside. All right, so what we're gonna do is we need our vellum here. We are going to use one of these gorgeous flowers. So we'll take that. And then we need,
bow comes later.
yes, the bow comes last. Yep, just set it aside.
I have never tried using the bow maker before and it's fighting me, so.
Oh, nice. Well, I think you'll
we'll
enjoy
just wait
it.
and do that later.
Yeah, this one was a gift from one of my YouTube viewers, Carmen, down in Georgia. So I love that she sent it to me. I don't know if she made it or if she got it from somewhere. I have a team member who, after seeing this, showed it to her husband, and he actually made her one himself in his little, garage workshop. So it's totally doable. And then I know there are different ones that sell them too. So yeah, I mean, usually, and before that, I was always using my toaster tongs, which is fine if I'm on my own. But for video purposes, it's actually easier to show people this because if I tuck this between my knees, so I can actually have my hands free, then nobody can see it. All right, so again, they have us putting glue dots on our vellum piece. One side does seem to be just a little bit brighter, but again, if you can't tell the difference, don't worry about it. I'm gonna put, they have 3 on here. You guys know I like my adhesive. We're gonna put more on here. I'm gonna put 1 on each flower. Just because I can. All right, that's 4. Yes, I am gonna put a 5th one in here. I wanna make sure this stays put. Okay. Peel these pieces. If you've got fingernails, that does work a little bit better, but mine are pretty short right now. It's summertime, so making cards, planting a little. I've got some garden boxes this year. I've got some tomatoes and peppers in them and some herbs. So I'm kind of excited about that. We usually do so much traveling and are just here and there and everywhere that we never really have time for plants and flowers that need to be watered and maintained. And this is the first year that I've done that. So, all right, so this goes right here in the center, or at least I'm putting it in the center. Again, if you want to burnish that to make sure your adhesive transfers. All right, then that's nice and it's not going anywhere. All right, then we'll stamp our label. So this time we'll use the You're Amazing, or you could use Thanks, because it's a little bit wider label. You can fit some of the larger sentiments on here. And, you know, the way they have it shown, they are using You're Amazing stamped in Bumblebee on here. But you know what? I think I'm going to stamp it. I don't necessarily like that pop of yellow on here. So I think I'm going to use a different color. You know, I'm actually, yeah, I think, you know what, that would be a better, I was thinking, I did pull out my Blackberry Bliss, but I do think you could go with the Evergreen. I think if you were limited on colors, I almost think I like the Evergreen better on this than, because it matches the twine.
No, I agree with you. I think the Blackberry Bliss would be better.
Do you think so? Or I do have my fresh Freesia, because that does pull in. That might be a little bit light.
I think that might be too light.
You know, let's do a test. We will pull in. We'll save our scraps here. So let's do a test. Always good to have some scrap paper nearby. All right, so if we test this, actually, I think that comes out dark enough. I think that might work. Yeah, if we do the Blackberry Bliss, we'll do another test. You can compare.
Okay.
All right, so if we do Blackberry Bliss, I mean, that is pretty, that, I don't know. Anybody watching at home? Hi, Kate. Glad you caught me live on Facebook. All right, so Luann and I are we are trying to decide. We are changing up, instead of stamping our sentiment as Stampin' Up! Has directed in Bumblebee, we are thinking either the Fresh Freesia or Blackberry Bliss would look really nice on our sentiment. Hi, Vicki, welcome. Yes, oh, and Vicki likes the idea of using the scraps. Yeah, so I'm glad I didn't toss this, although I do always I've got one of these little pop-up bins from Stampin' Up! That I keep right in front of me at all times. All right, so what color do you guys think? Should I go a little bit lighter with the Fresh Freesia? Or should I stamp it in the Blackberry Bliss? Hi, Sharon. All right, Sharon is voting for the Fresh Freesia. All right, does anybody want to challenge her, or are we in agreement? All right, I'll wait just a second here. I am going to clean my stamp just in case. All right, Vicki also agrees with the Fresh Freesia. Okay, so I'm gonna clean the Blackberry Bliss off of my stamp. All right, so I've got, but I do like comparing that. The Blackberry Bliss does look really nice with this. Okay, so I've got my sentiment, my Fresh Freesia.
I tried the polished pink.
Oh, nice, Luann. Yeah, I'm gonna, hang on a minute. If you want to hold it up one more time, I'm going to spotlight you so everybody can see both. All right, so Luann has got polished pink on hers. Nice. All right, thank you.
I put it on the back just to see.
Yeah, to do a little test there. Okay, so we'll go right here. Yeah, I think that looks really nice. There we go. Okay. So one thing, since you got the Bumblebee and the Evening Evergreen in here, the Fresh Freesia and the polished pink are also part of the the new In Color collection this year with the Evening Evergreen. There is also the Soft Succulent. Plus, I didn't pull that ink pad out. And then there's also the pale papaya. So actually all 5 of these new ink colors work with the expressions in ink. The paper pack that's in the catalog that coordinates with this. So that would be a nice investment to go with your kit here. Okay, so we're gonna flip this. We'll put our dimensionals on the back. All right, so I kind of simplified it since we didn't wrap the ribbon all the way around. We're just, that means you can kind of put it wherever you want it. All right, I am gonna put it towards the center of this large flower here. And then this is where our little bow comes in. So take one of your mini glue dots here. If you put it kind of right on the tip by your G, you see that right at the point. All right, then that is where our little bow will go. So we'll gently pull this off. And then our knot will fit right perfectly on that. You can adjust your loops a little bit. And there you go. So I like that, but I don't know. You guys let me know. Do you like that better? Because as designed, they have the twine wrapping around twice, which I think is kind of finicky. So I like this better. Okay, so that is, okay, so that's the 3 designs as Stampin' Up has created for us. Okay, Vicky says that she used the evergreen color and stamped the leaf on the vellum flower. So stamped. Oh, so she's saying those little leaf image here. It does kind of coordinate with the little leaf on here. Yeah. So the only thing you do have to be careful of with that is when using our ink spot. This is a water-based ink, and vellum is a very slippery surface. So if you're going to do that, make sure that you don't smudge it or touch it. You will need to set it aside to dry. But yes, that's a good idea. Actually, one of the cards I was going to kind of change this up a little bit is if you have Stampin' Up's the blends, the alcohol markers, these are great for coloring on vellum because the alcohol helps them to dry quicker, so it won't smudge and get all over all your projects. So if you haven't tried the blends before, this is a great project to use them with. Okay, so like I said, I'm going to kind of go by the alternatives on the back, but change things a little bit. So I think I'll do the first one primarily as directed. So for that, we're going to need one of our Bumblebee card bases again. Okay. Oh, Vicky says she hasn't tried the Stampin' Blends with the vellum. So yes, definitely give that a try. And yeah, Sharon agrees. She likes the bow on here better than wrapping it around the card. Yeah, that's one of those things. I don't like wrapping it all the way around. Okay, so for this one, we have our Bumblebee. Make sure you cleaned, since we used our flower stamp of the evening evergreen, clean that because we're going to use that with the Bumblebee this time. So we'll use our Bumblebee ink and our large flower here. And we're going to stamp this a couple times. We're going to go kind of up towards the left, not all the way to the corner. And then if you want to rotate it and then do the same position towards the lower right. Again, not all the way to the corner, but just kind of framing that in a little bit. Okay. And then if you want to grab that little, that's that little leaf image this time. If you do have a little block, I do suggest the A block works great for this, for these little itty bitty stamps. And that way you don't always end up with as much ink around the pieces either. Okay, so we're gonna do just a little bit kind of going out towards the left, and then we'll do another one kind of out towards the right. Yes, okay, because we're going to do our sentiment. We're gonna do a frame here in the center. All right, so for this card, we do need one of our, so you'll be using one of the little green leafy die cuts for this one. Again, if you want to do your kit just as directed and save your pieces, that's totally fine, but I do like changing things up just a little bit. And as far as I know, there should be refills available for this kit. I believe they will post on Monday. So they should be posting on the 28th in the online store. If you want to get just the consumable pieces, the refill kits do not come with the stamp set or the ink spot, but you get all the paper pieces. Okay, so let's rotate this. I'm trying to decide which way I'm going to do this. And I think we're going to kind of do it that way. You know what? Actually, I'm going to cut this. I know I'm going to snip off the branches so that way I can position them the way I want them. So I'm actually going to move them so that they come across a little bit better, and then I can put this little bitty branch right down here. All right, that I do like better. So we're going to use our glue dots to stick these down, and this will all be hidden underneath our sentiment piece. That's why we work from the bottom up. Okay, so we'll stick that piece pointing in. You're going to apply your adhesives. This little leaf is barely hanging on, so I'm going to put a little dot on that one as well, in case he gets disconnected. So yeah, you can see I've got two little dots there. All right, and then kind of off the center of this one. All right, and then little blue dots here. Let's put another one on here too. Okay. All right, and then this one is going to point over here. All right, so there we go. So we've started, we've got stamped images on there. We've cut our green leafy piece into thirds and positioned them how we want them. Okay, so for this one, we also need one of our larger labels. We are going to need one of the skinny little labels. All right, and if you have stitched rectangles, that is what Stampin' Up! Has been using on some of these projects here. So if you've got some basic white and stitched rectangles, you could die cut a piece that fits underneath that just so. So it looks like this is the one that will work well on that frames that in without being too big. Okay, so I'm gonna tuck these in, and what I do, I always keep a bag, literally a little Ziploc baggie of scraps of Whisper White from various projects, and then I kind of rifle through here until I get something that's the size that I want. So I've got a little bit of a scrap piece. I'm going to quickly run this through my die cut machine here. Go. So I will put a supply list as well, both in my Facebook group here and on the YouTube video once I upload that. Okay, if you want a list of the supplies we used here. All right, so we've got all of our pieces. We are going to use the large thanks. We'll stamp that in the evening evergreen. Not my bigger block. Gotta paint on my blocks are all my blocks are all inky. Okay, so we're gonna stamp thanks, and we will stamp. I think I'm gonna do thanks for everything. I have it shown as many thanks, but I think I'm gonna do thanks for everything. So we'll put the thanks on here. We will stamp that in the evening evergreen. Okay. So that's gonna go right in the center or thereabouts. Okay. And then we'll grab our for everything. Okay. We're gonna stamp this on here. Now, actually, you could have stamped that. I could have stamped that in Bumblebee. That would have looked cute too. Okay. So we've got all of this. We are going to use dimensionals on our label here. We'll just pop everything up. So go ahead and grab your little stitched rectangle piece. Put a couple of, oops, they're sticking. I'm gonna put one in the center. So we're gonna build from our base up here. This is going to go in the center. And you see how those flowers frame that in nicely. Then we will add our thanks on top of that. We're going to cut a piece, cut one of these dimensionals in half for everything. Okay. And I'm going to put mine down here below, because if you're doing many, you'd put that up at the top, but I'm going to do for everything. So I'm stamping that down here below. Okay. And then we'll make another one of our little bows, whatever way works best for you. Oops, I got a little knot in that piece. Just trim that off to start fresh. Okay. So pulling it around through the middle, up and over, tie my knot. Okay. And trim it. All right, and then we'll put this on with a glue dot. And kind of put this anywhere. I think I'm going to put it over here, just up towards the left. So not quite on the point. I'm going just a little bit above that. And I'm going to put that there. And then my loops kind of curled on me, so you might need to uncurl uncurl them just a little bit. Here we go. Almost need one of those ribbon irons there that straighten out all those little. It will relax a little bit once it's been off the spool. Okay. There we go. Okay, so I've got our little pieces. Let's do a little bit of decorating with our sequins here. So we're gonna kind of do a couple towards the lower left. Maybe we'll do, oops, it looks a little crooked, we'll see. Up here towards the top. And then we'll go over towards the right and add a couple in here. Oops, I got a piece of fuzz. All right. So it's kind of cute, little way you could change it up a little bit if you wanted to kind of reserve some of your pieces for other projects. All right, and I will post individual pictures of these in the group album too. Okay, so one of the other alternates uses the Ombre gift bags. I actually just ordered those with the free shipping yesterday. I don't have them yet, but I thought it'd be fun to show you how you could kind of turn that into a card. So they have a gift bag design here. We're going to make a card instead. And what I'm going to do actually is I'm going to cut one of these gorgeous fresh Freesia cards in half. And we're going to use that. All right, so I'm pulling my paper trimmer here. And I'm going to cut it just right along that center line. That's the 4 1/4 mark there. So that way you've got 2 pieces. You can use that on something else. All right, and I am going to put my own little spin on this. And because I'm going to mount this on a card base, I'm actually going to layer it on some Blackberry Bliss, and then I'll put it on a fresh Freesia card base. So I'm going to trim this down to 3 3/4 by 5. So I'm going to trim a 1/2 inch off of this, and then you can reserve, you can have those pieces for another project. So like I said, we're going to do 3 3/4 by 5 on this one. I'm going to layer that on a 4 by 5 1/4 piece of Blackberry Bliss. And then we will put that on a fresh Freesia card base. So, right on here. I just thought that Blackberry Bliss kind of helps accentuate some of the veining here in that. And all right, so I did pull in a little bit of in color cardstock. So this piece of fresh Freesia is 5 1/2 by 8 1/2. So we will fold and score it here at 4 1/4. Get my seal moving here. I still say snail sometimes. It's like you can't always untrain that after saying you for so many years. All right, so we've mounted that on here. Okay, so we've kind of built our piece. All right, so on this one, we are going to pull in our vellum piece. So we do want our gorgeous flower here. And like I said, if you needed more pieces, then you'll definitely want to consider investing in the artistic dies, because this beautiful die cut is the same size as the vellum punch out here. Okay, so we'll go ahead, double check which side that's on. Okay, and we'll put our glue dots on here. Again, I like to put a few on each of the flowers just to make sure everything sticks. Okay. How you doing there, Luann?
Oh, I'm just dismantling my kit and letting you have fun.
Okay. All righty. All right, so we are going to place this down towards the lower right here. Okay, make sure you keep it within the measurements of your card. Again, if you want to open that, furnish it just a little bit. Okay, so on this one, we are also going to use one of our greetings. So if you want to pull out the thanks, and then I will show you a neat trick with the blends on this one. Again, it might be helpful to have a scrap paper or something to kind of protect your work surface a little bit. So I'll just pull in a piece of my scrap paper. All right, make sure that you know which direction. So your thanks, you're gonna flip it over and we're going to apply we're gonna do the dark soft succulent. I am gonna go with a dark blend on this one, just because it's not as intense when it goes through the vellum there. And so we're actually going to color the back of this, just color the whole thing. And now you can see why I said you want to make sure you've got some scrap under there so that you can, so that as you're coloring outside the lines, that you're not getting it all over your work surface. And again, one of the reasons I'm using the blends on this is because they are alcohol based and they'll dry quicker. So again, you can shake it, so you can see I'm smudging it. You could take a paper towel, but it's not going to transfer. Whereas if you use the water-based, like the ink pads or the Stampin' Right markers, then that would just rub right off and you'd have to make sure you gave it plenty of time to dry. But look how cool it does give it, gives it some contrast on there. Although I'm thinking it would have been really pretty to do that in Blackberry Bliss. Now that I've already done it in the soft succulent. You know what, let me grab hang on just a sec. I'm going to grab my Blackberry Bliss and we'll just grab, I'll just grab another word. I have friends that speak both German and French, so they'll be happy to receive a card. All right, I'm gonna grab my, all right, so I've got my dark Blackberry Bliss. And again, make sure you're doing this on the back side. And then use your brush tip to paint all over it. And you could use your finger, you could use your bone folder if you need something to help hold it in place so you don't color on your fingers. And make sure you get all of the pieces there. Okay. So when I put this on top, what do you think? I think I like that. The soft succulent is really neat, but I think I like that. Kind of keeping everything in the same color scheme just a little bit. So I'm going to adhere this one with my glue dots to the front. And if you try to space it out and put your glue dots at the thicker parts of the letters, then that way it won't show through as much. So I'll go down here, make sure it's straight. And I'm going to burnish that a little bit more. All right, I'm not going to stamp the U because the way they showed, they actually cut the S off the thanks and did thank and then stamped the U. I don't have a German sentiment to go with this, so I'm just gonna do thanks on that one. But then we can pull in some of these pretty sequins if we want and just kind of jazz this up a little bit. So maybe a couple up towards the top and maybe over here towards the left and down here towards the bottom. You can even put one right on the flower if you like. All right, so there is another alternate for you, and that was inspired by the gift bag design on the paper pumpkin kit, but we made a card out of it instead there. Okay, so the next one is going to be inspired by this little note card. They're showing it in pale papaya, but I want to show you how you could use this. Use one of the evening evergreen cards that came in your kit here. So we'll fold this. And then I have punched, die cut using my stitched rectangles. This is the next size up. So this one was, you can see the size difference. This is the next size up here. And if you grab your scrap paper again, we are going to use our flower and stamp this in our, actually, I think I want to stamp this. Well, I didn't bring my, I didn't bring soft succulent, so we're going to stamp it in the evergreen instead. Actually, I could go with the fresh Freesia, or even the polished pink would be pretty with that. All right, I don't know. All right, so the way they've done this is actually just kind of stamped off around it 4 times. So you kind of do your left and your right. And oh, good thing for photopolymer, if you didn't get it just right, you can line it back up. All right, then we're gonna go towards the top. And then we'll rotate it again and fill in the gap there at the bottom. Okay, and then be careful, make sure you wipe any excess ink off there. All right, on this one, we also need one of the longer sentiments here. All right, so I've got that. And where are my stamps? All right, so I think I'm gonna do congratulations on this one. I haven't used that one yet. Grab a larger block. It's always the most stressful part, is trying to line things up straight on camera. That's like no pressure. Sharon is asking, could you use the blending brushes to color the vellum flower? You could, but again, you're going with your blending brushes, you're going to use your water-based ink. So you're going to run into the same issue with that rubbing off the vellum as you would coloring it with your Stampin' Write markers or your ink pad. So definitely when it's with vellum, I mean, would you agree, Luann? I would say stick with your blends, with your alcohol-based inks for that. Yeah, you could use, I mean, the nice thing with the blends is they come in such a variety of colors. Another ink that works is StazOn, because it's a solvent that works on vellum. You could use Versamark, and then you'd put on a powder, like an embossing powder, and then gently heat it, because that's the other thing. When you heat vellum, it's like plastic, it melts and it starts to curl and form other cool shapes. So you have to be very careful with that too. So yeah, I think I would stick with the blends. All right, so we've got our greeting here. I put dimensionals on the back. We have our stitched rectangle piece that we have stamped. I'm going to pull in a little bit of the soft succulent sheer ribbon. So we need a little piece of this. This is actually going to, I'm not going to wrap it all the way around, but I am going to tuck it. I'm going to cut it long enough that I can tuck it on the back. All right, and then for this, they've actually pulled in some of the ephemera. So this is the Expressions in Ink ephemera pack. This too, along with the paper, has been on back order this month. I think this is also supposed to be back in stock next week as well. And so they have these cool gold foil accents. And so if we pull out one of these neat shapes. The cool thing with these is they're layered among layers. So if you pull one out, don't toss the rest because you've got actually lots of pieces in here. So this, gently pull it. Okay, so this is the piece. You could save that for something. You could toss that, but gently disconnect those. And then you've got this neat little frame. And what they have done here is they've shown tucking this frame around your design, kind of tucking it right. Oops, what they do, they went like this and then kind of wove it in there. That's, yeah, they're kind of bendy. They are foil, so there are lots of cool things you could do with these. All right, so I'm gently going to hold that and apply my adhesive here to the back. I'm liberal with my adhesive because, again, I've got my foil element on the left, but I'm going to take my ribbon and tuck that around the back as well. All right, now we're going to stick this to our evening evergreen, our card front here. Let's see. You could center it, you could go towards the right, whatever works for you. Okay, I am going to put just a little bit. You could use your tear and tape on that too. Just enough, something to hold your ribbon. It's okay if it's loose at the end because then our dimensional piece here, our greeting, is going to hold this. It'll help hold that down. Okay, so go ahead and layer that on top. You could go, yeah, I'm going to go a little bit further to the right with my greeting. Okay. So I've got lots of pieces on there. I think we need a couple of iridescent sequins. So the ephemera pack, what's neat about this too, you get all these gold foil accents. They're white on the back, they're gold. I don't know if you guys can see that, gold on the other side. And then you also get a whole bunch of these iridescent sequins in the ephemera pack as well. So, all right, gently moving these. So if you run out of sequins from your from your paper pumpkin, then you can get more in the ephemera pack. All right, so let's just put a few of these around here as well. I've got a little bit of something up there, so we're gonna put one up there too. Embellishments cover a variety of smudges. So there we go, something a little bit different. Again, inspired by the alternate, but kind of doing our own thing here. All right, and then we've got, I don't want to keep everybody too much longer, but I do want to show you if you color your vellum piece here. So actually I'm going to leave this intact. I don't necessarily have to make a full project, but I want to show you guys some more with the blends, just because the blends are so amazing. So I'm going to use the soft succulent. I want to make sure I'm using the dark because they come in a light and a dark pack. So I'm going to use the dark on all of these. I've got some polished pink. I will pull in the evening evergreen. There is no Bumblebee blend, but there is fresh Freesia, and I might even use the Blackberry Bliss. All right, so we've got enough colors here to do a little bit of contrast. So I think I'm going to start with my leaves. That's a little bit easier, and I'm just going to color, or you can even trace the area that is your leaves here. And that is part of the reason why I left it intact, because then you can kind of color outside the lines there without worrying about it bleeding onto your surface. Oh, you guys hear my Ziggy?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's dark out now, but she wants to go outside. I don't think
She a night
so.
owl?
Yeah, she is. Well, she just kind of, she's the princess. You know, she rules the roost and we just live here. Typical cat. All right, so I'm gonna contrast that with the soft succulent with some of these other leaves here.
Jess, does Wink of Stella adhere to vellum?
Oh, good question. You know what? Wink of Stella is alcohol based because if you want to extend the life of your Stella, you just have to add rubbing alcohol to it. So I would say yes, but I would say give it some time to dry, maybe a little bit longer than the blends. I could do, you know, I can do a sample on this. The only thing with Wink of Stella is that I wonder if it would like kind of blur some of the image wouldn't be as crisp.
I was thinking on the Merci.
Uh-huh.
On the main part.
Yeah. Doing a test. Let me grab it. All right. Everybody loves Stella. All right, let's see here. Actually, you guys, I don't know if you can see that. Actually, that's kind of cool. All right, so let me see. Okay, so it doesn't dry instantly. It did transfer pretty well to my finger. So, all right, so let's kind of leave it there and then I'll do another test once we're done coloring here. So how about we let's go fresh Freesia on the large flower here. Just to see what pretty color combinations we can do. All right, so be a little bit careful as you come up against, because the blends will, they will blend together. So you don't want to.
Truth in advertising.
Yeah. All right. Lots of that. Let's go in. I'm gonna use the Blackberry Bliss here. And these little rosettes in here. I don't know what this is, but let's make that Blackberry Bliss as well. And we'll use polished pink on this rose up here.
I find it fascinating that it looks so blotchy as you're putting it on when it's wet. And then as it dries, it just kind of smooths itself out.
Yeah, because I mean, it looks really dark as we're doing, but then as it dries, yeah, it definitely lightens up. And then let's go in with a little bit more of the evening evergreen on these little pieces here. Okay. So that's the back side when we flip it over and then push it out. And let's see, we need some white.
That's pretty.
Yeah, let's see here. If we do, I'm gonna put my glue dots here on the back. So usually you build from the bottom up. With this one, I'm kind of winging it. So we're gonna build from the top down. So we'll put our glue dot. You can see your glue dots much easier when it's colored. Okay, let's see here. All right, so I'm gonna take that. I'm trying to decide which way I want it to go. Let's do that, because that way it doesn't look like any of the flowers are upside down. So yes, if you mount it on white, you're definitely going to get a stronger, and you can see I did blended a little too much there. Let's see. I don't know if I can.
The wind blew the leaf over the flower.
Yeah, there you go. Well, you know what? That's where your embellishments come in. So there you go. We'll stick a sequin there and it'd be like, huh, nobody knows the difference. All right, so let's, you know what? We had some of these leftover pieces. What did I have? I have a fresh Freesia, part of a card base there. But again, you know what? I think I like the contrast. I think either a contrast of Evening Evergreen or I think that might look good. Let's do, all right, so my little pile here, I do have half a sheet of Evening Evergreen. So I'm going to cut this down to, what was this one? That was 3. Well, that was only 3 1/4. So I'm going to go in here and do 3 1/2 by 4 3/4 on this one. Okay, I'll trim this down. And when we do that, mount this on the back. I think that'll make a nice contrast here. And then we'll use a fresh Freesia card base. So we'll do this. Yeah, I like how that Evening Evergreen pulls that in. And then the pile, I have another 5 1/2 by 8 1/2 piece of the other half of the fresh Freesia that we used on the other card here. Okay, so we'll do this. We'll just keep it simple. We will mount this on there. All right, it's coming together. I feel like we need a little label or something to finish it off. Let's see here. Let's go with a skinny one. We will do, okay, let me grab my sending hugs. I think that needs to be cleaned because it looks like it's still got Bumblebee ink on it. I just want to make sure we clean our stamps here. All right, clean the Bumblebee off. I'm going to stamp this. Let's go with the fresh Freesia again. That's kind of the color that of the night. I was really hoping that this kit would come with a polished pink and a fresh Freesia ink spot, but it came with the Evening Evergreen and the Bumblebee, which are still really pretty, but I really like the fresh Freesia. Okay, so we're gonna do that. Couple of dimensionals here. Let's stick this kind of in the middle here. I do think we need just a little bit of a bow because this card feels kind of fancy with all of our flowers here. So we'll do a quick little bow. And then we'll add a couple more sequins and then that'll be grab our tiny blue dots here. I've got space here on the end, which is perfect. Right on there. You can see the ribbon has now relaxed a little bit. It's not quite as tight on the spool, so my loops are forming better. All right, and a couple more. I'm gonna put sequins wherever I've got a little smudge. And we'll put a couple extra just because. 3, 4, and there we go. We'll do 5. All right, so that is my additional alternate. And yes, we use the Stampin' Blends on that one. So we did our 3 cards as designed. We did our Evening Evergreen Thanks. We did our Bumblebee with all the flowers and leaves. We did our Fresh Freesia. Then we changed it up. We did a different Bumblebee card. We did a different Fresh Freesia where we colored our label here, our sentiment. And then we did another Evening Evergreen. And last but not least, we really got into the blends and did a full color bouquet. All right, so that is a wrap for a paper pumpkin tonight. I will take individual pictures of these and post them in the group. And then this video will also be uploaded. I'll edit a little bit and then upload it to YouTube. But I want to thank everybody. Luann, it was nice having a guest here on Zoom with me. So thank you. Yes, and I want to thank everybody that was watching Facebook Live. So we've got a handful of people on there. Thank you guys so much. And I'm going to remove the spotlight here. So I think we can see all together. But yeah, so I hope you guys enjoyed this month's Expressions in Color Paper Pumpkin Kit. I really loved these projects, and definitely don't forget to check out the Expressions in Ink, or the artistically inked suite in the catalog that coordinates with it, and keep checking the online store because those items, the designer series paper and the ephemera pack, are supposed to be back in stock next week as of June 28th. So
yes, I'm
so
waiting
I'll
for
be
mine.
checking. Yes. All right, so thank you guys so much. Hope you have a wonderful evening. We've been stamping for a while now, so I guess we better, in New York here, it's after 9, so I better wrap things up for the evening. All right, so thank you guys so much. Thank you, Luann, for joining me. And we'll have to do this live again.
My pleasure. Thank you for inviting me.
Have a good evening.
You too.
All
Bye,
right,
everybody.
bye.